Hey guys, what's up? So, I know it's been a while, but as you can tell by my title, I finally had my little girl. Um, I had wanted to post a video and tell you guys when I was being induced and everything, but everything actually ended up happening like really fast and differently than I expected. So, I am finally going to do my labor and delivery story, and then at the end I will show you my sweet baby girl. And she is sleeping over here in her swing, so if you hear like noises, then that's what it is. Okay, so it started out with my appointment, and I have tons of notes down here. This is going to be a very long video, gonna have to be in 2 or 3 parts. But I told you guys I was going to my appointment on Monday the 28th. It was at 1:45, so I went to my appointment. You know, they did the measurements and checked everything, and my doctor said, okay, we're going to do an ultrasound to check her fluid levels, and if that's good, then we'll do a stress test, and if that's good, then we're going to go ahead and schedule you an induction date for later in the week, I guess, meaning like Thursday or Friday. So we had my ultrasound done, and her fluid levels were getting very, very low. So he brought us into his office and he said, okay, so your fluid levels are low, so we're gonna send you over to the hospital tonight and induce you tomorrow morning. I was obviously like super excited. Like, I know it's not like good that her fluid levels were low or whatever, but I was really happy I was being induced the next day. I was so ready to have her. So anyways, let's see. Yeah, basically they told me go ahead over to the hospital, but and I bring my mom to my appointments because James works and stuff. He's been to a couple, but most of the time he's working, so they wanted us to basically go straight to the hospital, but I was like, well, I need to get my stuff. So we came back to the house, got my stuff, and then headed over to the hospital and got there at about 5. And around 5:30 they let's see, they attached the IV to me, they drew some blood, and yeah, that's all they did at 5:30. At 6:45 they told me that at midnight I wasn't going to be allowed to eat anything anymore, so they brought me like some food at 6:45, so I ate. And at about 9 o'clock at night they inserted a Foley catheter, which is like that little balloon thing, and I was 2 centimeters dilated when I went in there. And the Foley catheter, they leave it in overnight, and it's supposed to help you dilate to a 4. So they inserted that, yeah, at 9 o'clock. It was really not that bad having it put in. I just, like I told you guys, I'm not nervous for my labor and delivery the entire time I was pregnant, even like when I went in there. But then when I see the tools on the table and I don't know what it's going to feel like, that's when my heart starts racing. They're like, why is your heart rate so high? But, yeah. So, that did not hurt that bad. Like, it just felt weird. It was kind of a pressure, is what they say. So, they put that in. And then, oh, and they also told me when I went in and they put the monitor for the contractions in the baby monitor, or whatever. Apparently, I was having consistent contractions, like real ones, 3 minutes apart, and I didn't even feel them. So, I was like, wow, glad I'm not feeling these things, but that's kind of cool that I was actually having contractions. So, but after they put the Foley catheter in, for about 30 minutes, I was feeling my contractions, and I was like, oh, so this is what they feel like. Yeah, those things do hurt, and that was only, obviously, like, I was 2 centimeters dilated, so those contractions, I'm assuming, were not nearly as bad as contractions that like once you get to like 7-8 centimeters, I cannot imagine how painful those are, because contractions do not feel good, even when you're barely dilated. And then they told me they could give me some medicine to help me sleep at night, which is good because they couldn't give me anything for my heartburn, basically. And it was still horrible. I could not lie back even a little bit without you know, all the fire coming up in my throat and feel like I'm gonna like throw up. So at 10:45 they gave me an Ambien, and she said I'd be out within like an hour, but I actually was awake for another I was awake for like 2 hours, and which is bad because they were going to be waking me up at like 6 o'clock to start Pitocin. But I mean, I think it was just all the adrenaline. I could not sleep. So I finally did fall asleep around like 1 o'clock. So the next morning, which was Tuesday the 29th, they came in and removed the Foley catheter at 6:30 a.m. And he said I was still 2 centimeters dilated. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be one of these people that like does not dilate, or like, you know, and I end up having to have a C-section or something. But anyway, so the nurse told me to have a shower. I was like, okay. So I took like a quick shower, and they started the oxytocin, Pitocin, whatever, at 7 a.m. And then he came in 30 minutes later to break my water, and I was already at 4 centimeters. So I was like, oh good, I can get the epidural whenever I want, right? And he's like, yup. I was like, oh, thank goodness. No kitty cat. But, so yeah. He broke my water about 7:45. I started feeling my contractions at about 8:15. Some of them were pretty painful. I was like, ow, ow, ow. And like, I kind of held the side of the bed. But, and yeah, they were coming like every 3 minutes or so. So, let's see. And then, this is so awesome. Like, I've heard so many people tell their labor and delivery story. And they're like, and I was ready for the epidural, and I had to wait like an hour. And I was basically ready for it. You know, I was having contractions, but I was kind of like, I was like, when should I let them know? You know, I was like, I can deal with this for a little bit, if it helps me like dilate more. But then the anesthesiologist came in, and she was just like, hey, I'm the anesthesiologist. Are you ready for your epidural? At around 9 in the morning. And I was like, yeah. And they checked me, and I was already 6 centimeters by then. So I was dilating very, very quickly. That Pitocin, that's crazy. Okay, so yeah, they put the epidural in. That I have scoliosis, so it took like 20 minutes to get it in the right spot, and it didn't, I mean, it didn't hurt like horribly bad, but I hated when she would press on my back and be like, there's gonna be some pressure. But it was kind of like a pressure. It felt like someone was like pushing on a bruise or something, and it like grossed me out. And then I was also having contractions while they were trying to put the epidural in, so that kind of sucked. But it definitely was not horrible. Like, the contractions still did hurt more than the epidural. And then once that was in, it kicked in really fast, and my legs went numb. My left leg, accidentally, like, I let my foot slide off the bed twice, and I had to have James come and, like, put my leg back on the bed because I could not move it at all. It felt like it was not attached to me. Okay, so at 11:45, she came in, and she was like, do you feel any different or whatever? I was like, I guess I feel a little more pressure down there, you know. I was thinking, like, yeah, it's probably nothing. She checked me, and I was 9 centimeters. Already by 11:45, and remember, they started all this stuff at 6:30 a.m., so this was going really fast. But, yeah. So I was 9 centimeters, and, but I was kind of freaking out because the epidural, I don't know if it's because they gave me, like, so much, but, it makes your blood pressure drop. So I was so tired. I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to push like this. Feeling like, you know, exhausted like this. And I was freaking out because, oh, and by the way, my mom and boyfriend were in there at this time. I was not by myself. But, I would fall asleep, and I would fall asleep for like 30-45 minutes, wake up, and then still feel completely exhausted. I literally was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to push feeling this tired. But, luckily, I stayed at 9 centimeters for 5 hours. And by the time I woke up about that last hour, I felt awake. I was like, thank goodness. And I think it's because the epidural was wearing off a little bit, because I felt like I could move my legs a little. And it was kind of freaking me out too, because I was like, what if it goes away completely and I start feeling stuff? But no. So I was still a little tired, but I wasn't like drowsy every time I woke up. So I fell asleep one more time. I woke up, the nurse came in, checked me, and I was ready to push at 3:45. So yeah, I never had like that intense like feeling of needing to push, like so much pressure. People were like, I knew it was time to push. I had no idea. No idea. But so yeah, I was able to start pushing at 3:45, and I did, after she asked me if I could feel my contractions, I did realize that I could, like, whenever they started, there was a little bit of pressure, and I was like, well, this is good, because, like, when I can feel them coming, you know, they could obviously see them on the screen, too, but I'm sure it was helpful for me to know, like, right when they were starting. So, I started pushing, you know, intervals of 3 or 4, 10 seconds each within a minute. There was no pain there. And, I totally thought I would not want to see her head, like, with a mirror or anything like that. I was like, no, that's creepy. I do not want to see that. That's going to make me not, like, that's just distracting, blah, blah, blah. But they asked me, they're like, do you want to see she has hair? And I was like, yeah, I do. So they put the mirror in front of me, and I was able to see her head, like, whenever I pushed, and I don't know, that just, like, made it, like, so much easier, because I was like, she has so much hair, and I'm about to get her out. Yeah, so, in about 35 minutes or so, the nurse was like, alright, go get the doctor, and I was like, yes, because I knew that meant, like, she was about to come out, and it was, like, so freaking exciting. Of course, they always take, like, 3, 4, 5 minutes to get in there, and I was kind of having to, like, push a little bit to keep her head down there, and I was like, come on, doctor. But yeah, he came in pretty fast, and yeah, so I did a couple more contractions, and then she popped out, and they laid her on my chest, and she was, like, all nasty, but I did not even care. Like, she had, like, that white, like, amniotic stuff all over here. It was all over my hands, and then she peed on me, and I did not even care at all. She cried a little bit, so I was, like, not super freaking out, but, yeah, and, I looked at James, and I don't know if he cried, but his eyes looked kind of like, they looked a little teary. And my mom, I don't know, everything was just, like, crazy when she came out, you know, but it felt like this huge relief. And then, so, we were in room 422, and she was born at 4:22 p.m., on September 29th. And she weighed 7 pounds, 14 ounces, and was 19 3/4 inches long. So, I was looking at my comments, so nobody got it exactly right, but a lot of you, those of you who guessed closer to 8 pounds, good job, because I did not think my, phone cut me off. But, yeah, so, she's finally here. I had a small 2nd-degree tear, I heard him say, but they were stitching me up. I didn't feel it at all, and I was too busy trying to, like, look at my baby because they were weighing her and everything. Yeah, let's see. The one thing that hurt more than anything at all was when they would press on my stomach. They had to do that to, make sure there was no blood clots. But, oh my gosh, that hurt so bad. Right after she was born, they would press on it, and it made, like, it's really nasty, but it made, like, blood come out or whatever, and I could feel that, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that hurt so bad. And they kept having to do that every like hour. Finally, by later that night, it didn't hurt near as bad, but OMG, that was the most painful part of my entire labor. So yeah, I feel extremely lucky, because if you go back and watch my my birth plan video, where I basically say like what I want my labor to be like, I pretty much got exactly what I wanted. I didn't go into labor on my own, but that's okay, because everything went perfectly and she is perfectly fine. Yeah, it was freaking amazing. I feel so lucky. I'm so scared now that like the next baby, like there's no way it's gonna go as perfect as this one did. But yeah. So at that point, obviously I still had the epidural was like still, I was numb still. But they were telling me about pain medicines and stuff. So in a little bit, when I did start feeling my pain, they offered me Percocets, but they had taken my baby away to wash her and everything, and she'd been gone for a few hours already. And when my baby came back, I did not want to be like drowsy and feeling loopy. So I was like, no, I don't want Percocets. So I just took the Motrin instead. Yes, I turned down Percocets, the drug that people will literally like pay you a freaking ton of money for, but I didn't want that. I wanted to be able to hold my baby and know what was going on when they brought her back to me. So yeah. As far as pain after delivery, well, one thing, my heartburn once she came out, heartburn, nausea, everything was completely freaking gone. And I didn't even realize this, but while I was pregnant, she had completely taken my appetite away. Nothing ever sounded good, because as soon as she was out of me, like, every freaking food in the world sounded good, and it has been for the last, like, week, and it's been so amazing. So, that pain was gone. Like, heartburn, oh my gosh, it is amazing to be able to lie down. But, as far as other pain, it was kind of, the first 2 days it was kind of painful, because of my stitches, you know, there was, like, a lot of, like, pain, like, over there, and then from pushing, you have about 1 billion pounds of pressure on your butt, so when you stand up, you just feel like everything inside you is gonna, like, just fall out, and it's a weird feeling. And then they're trying to get you to, like, go to the bathroom, you know, and you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. I feel like things are gonna fall out of me, but it was fine. And, from the epidural, because it took them so long to get it in, because of my scoliosis, my back was probably the most painful thing. It really, really hurt. But, and I was like, ooh, I'm hoping I don't have, like, long-term back problems from this. But, at this point, my back is perfectly fine. Like, if you were to press on the spot where they put the epidural, it'd probably still hurt, kind of feel like a bruise. But, yeah, most of the pain is completely gone. Even, like, anything I can really feel now, it's a week later, is, where they put my stitches. It's still just kind of a little, like, weird. It really doesn't hurt, but it's just kind of, like, it does feel like there was a tear there, and then it's, like, healing up. So, that is, that was my pain and stuff. It was kind of, but every time they gave me, like, the Motrin, and, it took away a lot of the pain. So, I still didn't want Percocets, but, yeah. And then as far as breastfeeding, they, of course, that same day, when they brought her back to me, they let me, feed her, and she is an amazing baby, and she latched on right away. She's been doing really, really good with that, except for, like, yesterday and today, it's been harder for her to latch on. And I love my hospital, because they have a resource center, and they really, like, she randomly called me, and she was like, hey, how's everything? How's the breastfeeding? And I told her she was having a harder time latching on, and she said that's because my breasts are getting fuller, which is definitely true. I guarantee you, I'm probably a D now, and I was a C before. But, so she told me how to kind of handle that situation, and, yeah. Still proud of my baby for knowing how to breastfeed. I think it's so cool that they just automatically know how to do that. So let's see, just some last little things. They wanted us to stay an extra night in the hospital just because since I was breastfeeding, they wanted to make sure she did well with that. So we were freaking ready to go because we were there 3 nights since they made me stay on Monday to do the Foley catheter. We were ready to get out of there. I know I told you guys, like, I was looking forward to the hospital, but holy crap, I was so happy when they just discharged us. What else? Oh. It's normal for babies to lose about 7% of their weight, but they don't like it to get much higher than that, and she did lose 7%, so basically, I guess when we left the hospital, she was down to about 6.5 pounds, maybe a little more than that, which just kind of freaked me out, but as long as she's eating good and stuff, she'll gain it back. And her doctor's appointment is in another week and a day, so hopefully her weight is going back up. She seems like a chunky baby to me, so her headband is like on her face. Yeah, but so yeah, that's pretty much everything, and I have an appointment in just a minute, so I will show you her, and my next video will probably be my postpartum, like a week postpartum, which I've kind of told you everything so far, but I haven't really showed you my stomach, and that's definitely going to be late because I don't think I'll have time to do that today. And it is a week postpartum today, so I'll probably maybe get that done tomorrow. But yeah, sorry for the wait, but it's finally up, and I finally had my baby. I had her at 40 weeks and 4 days, so I will show you her now. Okay, so this is my little baby girl. She's sleeping. Look at the camera. Look at the camera, baby. She's a big, chunky baby, aren't you? You want to say hello? Let me see if I can get her up here so you guys can see her. This is my chunky baby. She's making a very chunky face. What are you doing? Stop that. You look like a double chin. She's my sweetheart. I love her so much. But yeah, so it was worth the wait, and I definitely would not change anything, so no, I would not. So thanks you guys for watching, and I will definitely be doing more updates and things with her as well.